I don't know. Like, I think this is going to be hopefully the closer of the two series. Like the last one, although I'm very happy for Liquid, was a little bit of a letdown. I think that's fair to say. Going into this one, Ryan is definitely right. Like, you'd expect, being a Brit, that my favorite player going into this one would be a Brit. But I love watching Nats play. Like, I just think he is the best Cypher in my eyes. I think the way that he uses his cams for information almost sort of quells the issues of some of the other pieces of his utility on this map. So it's going to be a banger, but we're going to be getting into map number 1 of hopefully a 3-map thriller.
Yeah, I'll set the expectation for Redgar pretty high as well from what we saw the other day. He was huge in a lot of their games so far in the run through VCT, and now it comes down to this series to fight off for their spot in Iceland. And Durka, well, he's winning the duel of the duelists. As the first jet to fall, it's going to be Defo, man advantage for FNATIC, and they haven't given very much away.
Yeah, if anybody's going to have looked into Durka, by the way, it would definitely be Gambit after what he did to them when he played previously within the CIS qualifier. So they should know this map. Magnum has managed to lurk his way quite far forward into B. Now, the rest of the team are still going to be just waiting outside A, see how much he could potentially get done. Maybe sell this as a bit of a fake and try and force some rotations. But as of right now, Gambit aren't really playing in that sort of style. They're not pulling players over just yet, but with the drone suddenly coming through, just watch Magnum. He's already making that play in behind.
Of course he is. Likes to go for the sneaky plays.
Going back.
And they've got control over the site completely. He's even making his way into Hall. So, of course, FNATIC going to rotate over. They've got a free plant over on that site while Durka just distracts. That's a little more than that, actually. He's already got 3 kills, and sure, he'll be killed eventually, but he's done more than he needed to in keeping them in position. The B-side plant is underway. They've used a wall, but they didn't need to because there's barely anyone to fight off against. A 4v2 as Gambit want to go in for the retake. And they're being heard. I think both of them have been heard at this point, moving down through middle. All the info to play with for FNATIC, all the time, the post plans. I mean, this is going to be a pretty hard one. Even look, they're sneaking in through kitchen, and the turret's spotted.
Yeah, it seems like FNATIC have thought of everything in this round, and the amount of time that's just being wasted here alone. Boaster's already come up on the flank again. If the first one wasn't bad enough, this can only make it work. He's hearing every single sound, but they have left something behind to catch him. But the thing is, there's barely any time left. They need to be on the spike roundabout now. Instead, they're still trying to fight the players in from behind. FNATIC are playing with their food, and while Nats, I guess he could try and do a little bit of extra damage. Maybe just die to the spike. That's all he's really hoped for here.
I think he was even trying to sneak up behind them, like get through the spike a little bit, but it came out a bit too far. You know, I love that as well. You say they leave something behind. I have to ask you, Tom, trip or trap wire? What are you going for?
I always say trip, but the name of it is trap.
Oh, I know what it's technically called, but it's a tripwire. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's a tripwire. It's there to catch you. It's there to trip you up. Like,
there you go.
I don't know. Technically, you do get trapped in it though, so I'm kind of indifferent. I'll be honest with you.
I see. Yeah, I get where you're coming from. Yeah, it could trip you, but it could trap you too. Who knows? You know, the debate will go on forever. But it's tripwire. As we move in towards the B site, Gambit gonna be on their way. It's fair to say. Bit of a sea of whatever color you want to call that. I call it green. I've heard people call it blue. They're colorblind. They're moving in towards the B side is the important thing. There's 5 players here. They've got pistols, so they're throwing themselves at these guys, trying to deal damage in any way that they can. The first was a leap above the ice wall that quickly ended in Nat's death. And, well, for now, actually, they have successfully stopped the plant. It's going to take a little while. The Sage Wall will be out of play. There's potential for damage to be done here by Gambit.
I quite like that they don't overplay things, though. I think a lot of teams will take a huge risk when it comes to these plant situations, not knowing where a lot of the players are. Mystic is just going to play within the smoke. And sure, they have lost 1 player along the way, but if they can keep this down to just a single man loss, that's absolutely fine for FNATIC. Of course, on the other side of things, Defo trying to do as much damage as humanly possible, but this time it won't be the case. Now, you've mentioned a few players here and there. I think especially going on to the defense side is where you do see a lot of the sort of snazzier, more interesting things coming out from Gambit. A lot of the time we talk about snake bites and how they're used in afterplants. In fact, you even got to see one there landing down to try and deny things. But I've always quite liked the way that Redgar actually plays his slightly more aggressively on the defense. Try and make some of the positions that players are going to want to boost up into a lot more awkward to try and face off in early in the round. We'll see if he can maybe catch out a few players here. Of course, this is the bonus round. This is where, realistically, we're not expecting a massive amount from FNATIC, but they do still have a rifle on Durka, and that alone is enough to scare a fair few teams.
You know, I think it's kind of funny, the point about Redgar, because Mystic, he does the same, right? He'll play like, you think about Bind, right side, he'll activate up those snake bites and deal serious damage. Those cages about to go down. That's where the wall comes into play, and Durka's caught out of position, but the trades are there. This is a bonus round. This is weaker weapons for FNATIC, and they're in a 4 versus 2. Gambit are going to try to recover this, but they don't know about Magnum, who's just sneaking up behind them again. This guy's flying so far have been very annoying to deal with, and got them around on the B plant, and now pretty much securing this one, taking down Defo and leaving Shados to do it all. And he's even spotted now, moving back. They know that he's in heaven. They know they've got a little bit of space to maneuver with. Not quite that much space, Doma, but all right, I like it.
Enemy down.
Don't know how he's getting away with that one. It's like a 20 bullet spray, but hey, you got there.
Yeah, that's more what I'm expecting from Shados. Like, you don't normally get away with that much when this man's on the other side. Probably one of the most clinical players you're ever going to see in Valorant, so maybe a little bit of a slower start for Gambit, and this is something they really can't afford. And in fact, they actually do lose the weapon right at the end of the round. Boaster going on a full rotation just to catch him out right at the end. So it does mean that this is going to end up as another round where there's not really much invested here. But yeah, as you already mentioned, like, I think Magnum's flanks have already become something that is going to start getting in the back of the heads of the Gambit players. Like, even if he is just going all in with the rest of his team now, they're going to have that little ick at the back of their head, that little scratch, that itch that just won't go away, that maybe he could still be behind them.
Yeah, I think it's there's a very sad story there in how we saw Shados playing that out, because I loved it. The spike exploded and he knew exactly where it was planted. He's got that radius inside his brain, so he like didn't even look. Like, cool guys don't look at explosions, right? And this is a bit of an awkward start. Durka popped his ult, he took a fight. You know, I'm not too worried because it's pistols, it's whatever. Then he updrafts again. He wants to continue getting aggressive. That wall leaves a gap for Doma to move on through. Usually you'll see that against rifles. He does it versus the pistols. It's a risk, but hey, it's paying off right now, as they have only one enemy left to deal with. And if they just lose one rifle here, it's not the end of the world. Or just one player, rather.
Magnum's flank is there once more, just to make sure that there's no real escape from Chronicle. I do have to say that the fact that Doma has gone in a few weeks from basically being the star player, the person that everybody's sort of looking to set up, to even on some maps playing as the controller and being an Omen, that was a bit of a surprise for me. We'll see if that maybe comes in a little bit later on, as we were looking at that Ascent matchup. But yeah, 4-0. Now I want to see a turnaround. Defo onto that operator. This is where he's going to start almost dominating certain portions of the map. It's why we're seeing a rotation of Viper now to play onto that B site. As said, he has a lot of deep utility that he'll throw down to try and deny early B presence, but he can now afford to do that because of the positioning of that Jet Op, basically manning the whole of A. You can see how deep his vision currently goes. The switch up though from FNATIC is to try and take further control into the kitchen. Shados is however ready, but he doesn't find the shots.
Oh, even the spray through the wall's a bit dangerous. Redgar was distracted, but the flank doesn't pay dividends this time. Nats on the double, but won't get away with his life. This is still winnable for FNATIC, but Gambit is certainly showing up. The spike on its way is under threat. Players can swing out of the window. And of course, you're seeing Redgar tucked in on short. This is a tough position to play from, and the drone going to spot him out. That could spell danger for FNATIC. Oh, he makes it over to the side. Okay. Flank can be found. Oh, never mind. Chronicles wall banged him to death. Oh, well, that's just sad. Oh, the snake bite is damaging him. I'm going to say a 1v2 that's, you know, in a way easy enough, but yeah, it's
How is he
Still alive, man. Snake
Somebody
bites,
kill
off
him.
shots, wall bangs. Boaster, he gets it onto Redguard. Now, he was low HP, but it's still the operator now swapped over to a rifle. Defo knows that his opponent is tagged up, but so is he. The HP just about even when you take Vandals into consideration. And the spike now planted. Hunter's Fury to be popped. He's searching for a victim, trying to find Defo or bait him into a fight, but Defo doesn't move. The recon out for the left side. Defo needs to swing. This is so awkward, but Boaster gets away with it in the end. A 3K in a round that FNATIC were looking down and out of for a moment. Somehow, Boaster pulls off the impossible.
He was playing that round almost like a sort of like a jester trying to impress a king. Like, he was stood out in the open, dancing for his opponent, and I don't know how he survived. Like, did they shoot through his legs? Was he, like, curving out of the way of the bullets? Like, that made no sense, and I think Gambit are going to be absolutely kicking themselves there. That was their round. They shut down the early pushes. They do very well with catching off the rotations through kitchen, even adapting to get players into the right place to make sure that there's not really any presence. They deny the initial spike plant as well, with some strong positioning from Redgar, and then they just lose. It's a sloppy 1v2. That's all I can call that. I don't want to be sort of talking of this team that we almost sing so many praises about. They beat FPX just a day ago, but that was sloppy. And Boaster, sure, he did fantastically well to be able to win a couple of 1v1s versus the two remaining players, but I think even he's probably going to have a bit of a grin after winning that round.
Oh, most definitely. Considering as well, like, even the Hunter's Fury popped, I thought could be huge, right? It would make it worthwhile, the players that Gambit had lost, if it ended up getting taken out of the play, but
Take flight.
ending up winning that clutch 5-0 behind. Gambit are going to feel the need to really make something happen, and Redgar, well, he starts it out well. We saw Durka previously push up aggressively on A with his knives in hand, and this time, well, he's going to be rezzed up. And on the other side, the knives don't land. Okay, back to a 4 versus 4 versus Sheriffs. It's not really where you want to be, especially if you're popping up reses as well. But Magnum, guess where he is? Have a guess.
He's past it. He's past the cam. They had that placed in mid to almost catch him, but he's walked around. He's heard the cam behind him. This could actually act as a bit of a trap. Rotating through will be Redgar, but even still, Magnum again. He's been in the same place almost every single round, and still Gambit are being caught by one of the new men on the block. Shado's not in the worst of positions, but sectioned off by the wall. And just look at his current direction. He's peeking behind him. He is waiting. This cam attempted to be used, and that finally gets rid of Magnum. But I wonder if it's too little too late.
Oh, we'll see. With that ult, they at least get the information to play off of Tom. It's not ideal with Nats' HP being as low as it is, so the heal is popped through. The wall to be broken buys them a little bit more time, and there's Boaster's shot. Now Nats probably just saves this. Ooh, he might go for it after that kill. That's potential certainly there, but they're just going to group up and play this one together. Maybe. No, Boaster goes just running out for a kill. All right, it works. 6-0. And an interesting point, Tom. 3 rounds so far. Magnum's come up on the flank mid. 1, he went B. This guy is behind them more often than he's in front of them.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit ridiculous. Like, they've even started putting a cam down in mid to try and catch him, but he saw it placed. And rather than breaking the cam, he just walks past it, just goes through. Like, what's the chance of him popping it within the next second? It's worth it for the potential flank that he gets onto his opposition. And sure, again, it's a round of pistols, so I don't want to talk too much about it in terms of Gambit, but they're starting to get into dangerous territory. They have a strong attack side. We heard Lothar bringing up the stats that I think both of these teams are going to be more prominent when it comes to their attack, but it's 6-0 already. We need to see a response from Gambit.
We do indeed, and at least with the ult down to cover the B site, that should be a little bit of safety for them to play around. They have still got a second player on B. Obviously, he's just covering for the walk under. They have a tripwire, and this is something I mentioned a lot, the fact that I love Cypher on this map to cover out inside of Tube. It's not like a wall that lasts 40 seconds. They can actually cover it the entire round unless players go there to take control. Speaking of taking control, well, that wall's kind of stopped what Durka wanted to do, but maybe it's for the better. Up above, there's going to be players pushing through, but just getting torn apart. And with Shados and Redgar left alone to try and make this happen, and a very late flank from Redgar, the chances are looking very, very slim. A shame having popped your Viper's Pit. You don't expect them to come towards you, but you also don't expect your A site to fall quite as quickly as it did.
I really like the variation. We'll talk about it in a moment as this is still being attempted, but Doma is just not missing a beat. It's always good when your Sage is fragging out that Rez is going to be built up faster and faster, and Redgar, this has turned into just maybe trying to earn that ultimate back a little bit, get an extra kill or two to put those ult points on the table. But again, 7-0, and the variation there from FNATIC was superb. Okay, we've been given mid control a lot in the form of Magnum. He's been able to lurk through there the majority of the time. Maybe they're expecting one man, but they're definitely not expecting the whole crew to just go running straight down. And it means that any adaptations, any changes that Gambit came up with in this round were completely negated by FNATIC because they just ran straight down mid.
I think that's very much based around the space that Magnum's been finding, right? That read that, okay, there's going to be a lot of players, or there's going to be a lack of presence around the mid area based on what he'd seen in 3 out of 6 rounds so far. Albeit, I think 2 of those are versus pistols, Tom, if I'm not incorrect. So in a buy round, it could be a little bit different, but hey, it definitely pays off here and works out. When you look at Gambit, it's not the end of the line. Certainly, on the attack side, they can make up for the slack that they've given, but I want to see them up on 4 rounds. I mean, the way things are going, it doesn't look incredibly likely.
Well, yeah, I'm not one to normally mention stats, but when you have a jet operator player who's currently going James Bond, that's a big problem. Defo is yet to get on the scoreboard at all. So, and in this round, it's even worse because he's down to a Spectre, and well, he doesn't have anywhere near enough for the Blade Storm. Like, he's not even close. He would have to kill everybody just to get it in the first place. So it is just going to be him playing on that weapon in this round again. Much more of an all-in play, and this is what I meant. Like, they have been so ready for Magnum to be on the flank, but this time with his lockdown being in play, he's going to be involved in a full-on take into the A side.
And like the poison orb to stop the peek up on Catwalk, but that poison's not going to last all too much longer. Redgar falls right away. The shock darts of Boaster making Jonas jealous. As Durka takes down Nats, it's not looking too good for Gambit. They need to turn up here, man, but there's just nothing they can do. Then the orb comes in. Shados is 50 HP before he even gets near the edge of it, and Durka ensures he doesn't get out. Defo, the man who has the weaker weapon we talked about, you said he needed to kill everybody to have that ult online. Well, he needs to kill everybody to win the round now. Never mind his ultimate. And he's about to be pushed from kitchen. Good night and sweet dreams. FNATIC 8-0 on the board with a flawless round as well. It's just getting worse for Gambit as time goes on, it seems.
I'm blown away. Like, both the series we've had today were not meant to be like this. This is 8-0. I was getting ready for a close series, back and forth, like both teams fighting tooth and nail. It's 8-0 to FNATIC, and this round they had Magnum with them so that he could lock down for them to take the site. Durka walks in, kills 3 people. He goes, what's the point?
Yeah, we don't need to.
Why would I even waste this ult now? Like, why have I come with you? I might as well be on the other side. They're doing it again because he's still got the lockdown.
I mean, it works, right? Not only do they have lockdown, they also have Viper's Pit to put up on top of the side afterwards. Like, there's so much to play with here for FNATIC that they're, like, not getting to use. They've just walked into the A site for free. The flank being watched now. This is where Magnum has got a pretty big task. There's a couple of big weapons. They're not Magnums, but they are Sheriffs coming his way. He's able to take a double before backing away. 57 HP on the board. I mean, he's definitely in danger. So is Durka falling. This could fall apart very, very quickly indeed. That shock dart does some damage, but Magnum, I think it was a teammate's shock dart? Is that Boaster? Okay, hold on. What the hell's going on? Mystic and Magnum are both down. 2v2. Spike ticking away. The time is not really on their side, though, because they've still got plenty to play with. And with Doma being all alone, a cage above. Oh, the ult that ruins it for him. He has to take a fight. And a big whiff leads to Gambit getting one on the board at last. And in quite an unlikely round as well.
How is this the round they win?
Good question.
Like, I appreciate that the 4-man stack, maybe even reading into the fact that, okay, they went 5A last round because they still had the lockdown, so they went, okay, well, maybe they'll do the same again. But it's this. Like, Magnum, I think, kills 3 of the flanking players. So that means that Nats almost solely managed to retake the site. That shouldn't happen for FNATIC. So, yeah, we'll sing the praises, but that is a round that Gambit should never have had a chance in, and it came down to the individual brilliance of one man, but they need to build off this now. That's a huge play. That's a risk taken and a reward given, but now they need to get something done with the rifles. They have that operator back in play. Defo yet to really have the impact we want to see from him, but I don't expect him to go missing for long. No matter how bad it might be for him right now, there will be a resurgence at some point.
I feel like every round Dirk is hungry and he needs to get kills like that. And if he doesn't, he'll just keep pushing. It's what we saw in the last round, right? Rushing into a Sheriff and getting shot close range. 1v1 fights all over the place. Now, though, they're back. Oh, God, that's almost another kill for him. Redguard down to 26 HP. The knives popped, but no reward. No return for it, bar the damage. Nats, Redgar, Shados all low. But with Magnum falling, the chances of winning start to seriously decrease for FNATIC. They have got the B site for free, and they're walking around there, but they're so split, Tom. One player in each avenue of the map as Boaster will try to sell somewhat of a fake. He's been spotted, and that'll certainly cause a distraction. Mystic, oh, the op gets to line up on him, leaving Doma alone. And, well, he has the spike, but 5 kills to get if he wants to win this round.
The first one will be for free. He's 2 away from the res, but I can't see that really playing much of a part here, especially considering how far away the remaining players are. You'd have to wrap all the way back around. And you can see that the remaining players from Gambit are just playing this one together. Like, they are not taking any risks in this scenario. They are not giving this man a chance, because Doma may not be in that duelist anymore, but he's still just as much of a threat. We're going to see the clearance of Kitchen. They know that he's going to have to try and get a little bit more aggressive here, but he already manages to find the second. Thankfully, Defo is there to put him down, because any more of that, and he could have made it a reality. But even in this scenario alone, he's managed to earn his ult. That's a res for the next round, alongside what is quite a lot of decent ultimates coming up for FNATIC.
Yeah, of course, we're only dealing with 2 rounds left to go, so it is unlikely that we see anything come of the damage done, especially when you've got the likes of a Jet and can pop up her ultimate. For Mystic, this did feel like a kill that he could have gotten, right? The timing of Nats coming around, just catching him off guard a little bit, and Nats was ready to clear the corner. As we come into 2 rounds remaining, FNATIC, they're in a good spot regardless of how this one goes down. For Gambit, they really need to push up to 4. They'll lose 1 more of these rounds. It becomes a seriously tough task to get back into this.
After what has been mostly rifling thus far, takes a couple of rounds being lost to now see the operator go into Durka's hands. Already looking to try and take some deep B control, where Nats is currently waiting patiently. The cam's been spotted, pre-fired, and no information going to be sent over in that regard, at least. There is still a trip to try and hold them off on the plant, potentially, but realistically, this is already looking like a full-on retake.
Yeah, it definitely is. I like the early util usage as well from FNATIC over on A. It was the slows and the shock darts to try and keep those players in position. Now, that wall not going to break all too soon. It looks like they're safe to get that plant down and fall on back, but they have lost Mystic, and that's a huge part of the, not just their post plan for snake bites, but just the wall that those players would have to push through. Now gone, it's out of play. And with him falling yet again, Gambit have the advantage on this comeback, but they need to win the duels, and even that, it's not always easy.
Oh, we're gonna see. I think it's actually going to be destroyed. They've used the Hunter's Fury, but actually, it hasn't actually gone down. A little bit of a problem. Magnum, he's still trying to cling on to life. 2 kills already. A 3rd for Magnum. He's trying to take it on his own. And now Defo's been caught. He's going to be killed off. How have they lost this round, Mitch? Magnum with a 4K on the site, and they failed it, destroying the lockdown.
They missed it with the Hunter's Fury. They missed it. How did they miss it, Tom? How did they miss it? Oh, that's heartbreaking. It really and truly is. I think it was. Is it on top of the box? Did they put that on top of the box? I'm almost certain they did. And then the poison orb covered it. And I think it would have been Gambit's poison orb covered his teammates from being able to see the lockdown. That's, yeah.
It's both.
That's that.
Brilliant and awful at the same time.
Devastating. You've got 2 rounds to the board. That was your chance. And they all pushed forward. They're like, yeah, I've got it. We're going to destroy it. Boom. You're dead. You're out of here. They need this round. They need it so damn badly if they want to have a chance. I said their attack side can be good, but it'll have to be damn near immaculate if they're to have anything to say about this map. And that's if they get a 3rd.
left red guard to be almost the solo defender of this B site. They do have Shadows available to rotate in fairly quickly. The slows will give a chance for a rotation, but as is with the Viper's Pit, if you don't manage to kill off that Viper fairly quick, a lot of the time this will fall into an A site take. Now this is exactly what Gambit are expecting. 2 players deep within the site, Defo one of them with this operator in hand, but they've actually started rotating a player back towards the kitchen, so this could actually work out quite nicely for FNATIC.
There's the drone. Should spot out Defo. He has his dash, so he's still going to take the fight, but not win it. Durka still falls from Chronicle's backside play, and as we look at FNATIC moving forward, they have a lot to work with in terms of util still, but they need to deal with that operator. Support comes in from Nats, blades out, and they're not even needed at this stage because Nats comes out with a huge triple. 9-3. FNATIC have had one hell of a first half, but Gambit, they got back in there towards the end of it. Honestly, they probably should have beaten 4 up on the board. If they win the pistol, it's not all done yet. If they lose it, I'm gonna lose faith pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement. Like, there's no doubt that Gambit are strong on this attack side. Like, they're a team that we've witnessed play this many times. They have a fantastic default to try and hold off any of these aggressive pushes. And I think as well, if you're going to try and get up in the face of someone like Nats, he normally has a lot of cameras to catch you doing it. So it definitely isn't over just yet. But at the same time, FNATIC not grinding out 4 rounds, I would be very surprised. So it's an uphill battle to be taken once again, something we've been saying throughout the day, really, as it's been such dominant first halves from, well, mostly Liquid, but now FNATIC as well. It'll be a fast play through into middle. A little bit of utility to deny it. Doma even just going to hide within the poison cloud. Only gets 1 for his troubles, but his teammates have had time to rotate in, Mitch.
Not only that, look at Magnum. He's on his way up behind. Yet again, if they're not expecting it, they haven't been watching the game so far. They haven't been paying attention. In fact, they hear him running down to mid. They're trying to pursue him, but that pulls them away from the site, leaving 1v1s to be played out. Down goes a Cloudburst, the spam. Shadows is gone. Shock darts, recons, everything Chronicle's got is being thrown at this round. But FNATIC will still come out on top and put double digits on the board as we start the second half. Gambit have got to be feeling deflated at this point. It's really now or never when it comes to if they force buy or if they indeed go for the save and then full buy. They have to do it then. If they don't, this map's already out of their hands.
Yeah, a lot of the time as well, when you're going for a force in these sort of situations, you've at least got like a few kills, and although it might sound silly, like that can make a difference financially to bring you up to a point where, okay, maybe you can get a bit of extra utility, maybe you can put something in that will guarantee you a plant. They are still going to be risking it though, and at this stage, I don't really blame them. They have the players that can bring this through. They've come in with a fair few Spectres as well. It's only really Nats that's a little bit further behind, and he's no slouch with the pistol. Straight away, Defo's going to be taking that early battle, but so far, it hasn't been his day. Like, there's been a lot more whiffs than we've seen shots connected from this man, and that is uncharacteristic as hell.
Gambit's sneaky little play up middle. They're taking a page out of Magnum's book. He did this a lot in the early half. We'll see if they get anything for it, because it looks like FNATIC are all too ready for it. But there we go. Magnum, live by the sword, die by the sword. Gets beaten at his own game. Almost poetic, Tom.
Oh, see you later, Boaster as well. This is starting to look good for Gambit. Mystic trying to come back in on the flank. He's going to have heard the ice wall. Doma peeks in, but it's only going to be for 1. Spike has actually wandered in towards the A site as well. Now 2 players facing off against 3, but the weaponry's not even that much of an advantage now for FNATIC. Gambit have fought back in this round. They're going to be forced away from the spike at least, so the chances are FNATIC can work out this is clear, and already Durka is going to pick off another. He actually goes forcing himself into, I believe, his own teammate Snakebite, and Mystic, he's just going to be sticking this one to half. He's brought it to a possible scenario, but he needs to find both kills, and this time Defo is there to shut him out. An important force by victory for Gambit that will keep them in this map.
They needed this one, as we said. You know, if they were going all in on it, it had to pay out, and that it does. 10-4. Gambit going to try to creep back on up, and I do love that early engagement onto Magnum as we come into this round. We're not going to see quite the same investment from FNATIC that we saw from Gambit, right? They're not going to commit nearly as much. And especially with the weaponry they're up against, you can see why. There's 3 heavy rifles with Spectres, whereas in the previous round, pistols versus Spectres is a much easier fight to win.
One down.
Oh dear. Dirk already gone. And it seems like Defo's starting to get into the mood. They'd maybe be just eco frags, but I think getting this man online is going to be so incredibly important. They haven't been able to clear Doma just yet. He does actually have his wall. He's going to try and go over the top of the screen. He's been caught in no man's land. I appreciate the attempt, but this time it's not going to work out.
One enemy remaining.
And you can see that this time they are ready, Mitch. They're prepared. You're not going to get in on the flank this time, Magnum. You've done it too much in this game.
Good Viper lineup like that, it's like fine wine, you know? You see that beautiful snake bite come down. Doesn't serve any purpose this time around, unfortunately. They did have a poison orb there as well. But no, clean enough from Gambit. They can afford to lose 1 player, maybe 2 in this round, especially because they've got the Spectres. The margin for error in the overall story of this half is not going to be quite as clean. And they have to be strong on the attack. With such a weak first half under their belt and the pistol going to FNATIC, they're only at half the rounds. Whoa! That was a fight. That was nice. We're looking at execution, I suppose. FNATIC lose out on mid control, and it's going to be Mystic that moseys on over to try and reclaim some of that land, but he'll meander his way in towards the kitchen. He doesn't want to take that fight onto the jet. Instead, he'll support Durka. Oh, the cage. If he was in it, it could be huge, but instead, caught outside of it. He'll wait a moment before coming in to provide that support. His teammate distracting them. Here's Mystic swing. No, he's actually waiting for Magnum. They're going to triple swing. Oh, shade us. He doesn't know what just hit him.
The fact is, though, they have spotted the majority of the players on the other side of the map, so the A site has been sounded as clear. All the Vipe utility, though, there to make things painful as they go through. Chronicle's caught in a Nano Swarm. Goes down to just 16 HP. The setups from FNATIC are just so filthy to try and head through. It will be an afterplant, and sure, some of that HP has been regained. Not quite in the dirt just yet, although every time he clips the wall, it becomes a little bit more problematic. This duel is not something I ever want to see again, as Durka rounds the corner, takes out his doppelganger, and they've already got the res in play as well, Mitch.
He's already 3 kills under his belt. Oh, Durka, there's a 4th. Could this be the ace? The dash in play. He wants to do it. You can feel it. Oh, but Mystic steals it away. But you'll forgive him considering what's on the line here. 11 rounds on the board. Plus, I have to be honest, I'm never going to be angry at Mystic. I can't.
Well, I was about to say, who could blame a Viper for being toxic, right?
That is very true, Tom. It's very true. That's one of the jokes, one of the only jokes you've ever made in my presence that I haven't wanted to die after hearing.
The day is young. It's a shame as well, because again, the round's starting off fairly well. Like, we're starting to see a little bit more of the flair from Defo that we've been looking for throughout this map. Like, he had an atrocious first half, but if he can get rolling, there's still a chance for their side. And once again, it will be a purchase. Now, sure, he doesn't have a weapon as such, but the Blade Storm will quell that problem quite quickly. You can also see how aggressive that FNATIC like to play towards this B site. They almost use Durka as an alternate to utility. Sure, they still have the screen down to at least shroud their vision, but look on the other side of things, and it is just that strong default again from Gambit. Waiting patiently, watching for any aggression. Nats was posted in case anybody did try and push further down. And with the drone being seen, there's almost a few rotations being attempted to get back into that A site. But again, if you're FNATIC, you should know that Gambit are more than happy to wait until the late round.
And to really hammer it home at this late stage, this is Gambit's map pick. We know that they're a comfortable team here on Icebox and that they wanted to face off against FNATIC, but I do wonder as time goes on, do they start to question their decision? Well, if they lose this round, they probably will. So important to pull this off and get it up to 6 as FNATIC They're holding down towards the A site with 3 players. They have their Killjoy utility in play. There's going to be a recon going out and getting destroyed. That gives away the fact that they're definitely moving towards this side of the map. Updraft from Defo doesn't really catch much, and Mystic shuts him down. There's 12 seconds left. Redgar making a big play, but that plant has to be obtained, and Mystic's going to go straight through the wall to his death. A 2v2. How quickly those tables can turn, and Gambit can end up in the advantageous position. The res, oh, it's not gonna, oh, it will get much. Never mind, because they just use it to bait out the duels and take those scalps. Gambit on 6. Quite an impressive round from them, really, the way they pulled that back.
I think, again, you have to give credit where credit is due. Shados and Nats just being able to bring things back, but it's the flank. It seems like both teams are having issues with it. This time it's actually Redgar, which fairly interesting considering their agent that he's currently playing on. You would normally expect that he'd be ready for those afterplants. He'd had all the utility to try and deny them, but instead he's the one actually looking to come around the back and, well, make that into a winnable round. Now 11-6. Gambit on the grind. The purchase up is definitely not ideal from FNATIC, but they're so close that if they can make this one work, then I don't think they're going to mind. Clearing all of the close positions with the drone, making sure there's no cheeky spots this time. And in fact, it looks like FNATIC are almost playing this one as a straight-up retake, but they do have all that Viper utility from Mystic to at least damage a few of these players if they try and go for the plant.
They know there's one towards Snowman, or at least they suspect it. The Viper's Pit going to be used. It's available on both teams at the start of this round, but now having been popped makes it so much more difficult for these defenders to get back in. The flanker of Nats has been dealt with. Doma, oh, he doesn't know what's coming his way. There's so many players running straight towards him. He backs off. Magnum, oh no. Oh, this guy on the conventional flanks, you know, pushing up middle. He's been solid on the attack side, but now the timing is on display as well. On his way up behind them over on A, Doma going to delay, and this could be dangerous. Oh, he misses the first. Magnum is caught after just one, but they have no idea where Doma is. It grants him a triple kill and a free round for FNATIC. Beautifully played on the A side. And now 6 rounds in a row needed from Gambit. They have to double up their scoreline without a single fault, or the map pick, their map pick, will go into the hands of their enemy.
This round alone is almost certainly that you could talk about utility, you could talk about sort of like individual brilliance, but this is all just about the positioning of the players from FNATIC. They get so much information with the pushes that come in from behind that even Gambit in the latter stages still didn't know exactly where Doma was because they were too busy dealing with Magnum. Even if he doesn't get much done, it allows his position to lay hidden for just that little bit longer. Now we're going to see the Viper's Pit put down on A. I know that's one of your personal favorites, Mitch, because you basically have you're stuck even if you go for more elevated angles, and instead they're just going to avoid it completely and actually go playing through the kitchen. Now they've given this position away, no doubt. There's a lot of information currently there. Magnum, he's actually going to go playing through, and this time Nats is ready. He was prepared for any level of push coming back from the man who's been doing it all the way through, and now this round is looking a lot better, but they still have Durka to deal with.
Yeah, you'd love to see teams adapt like that. Durka takes down Defo. The spray from Mystic closes the game.